Lisa and I had been dating for 3 wonderful years. Or at least, I thought they were wonderful. She was smart, charming and adventurous, with an infectious laugh that could light up any room. On the other hand, Jake had been my closest friend since middle school. He was practically family. He knew all my secrets, my dreams, my fears. We'd been through thick and thin together. He was my brother in every sense but blood. Looking back, maybe I missed the signs, because I trusted them both so deeply. But the first hint that something was wrong happened on our anniversary. Lisa and I had made plans for a fancy dinner at a rooftop restaurant downtown. I'd even bought a new suit and wrote a little speech about how much she meant to me, planning to share it over dessert. But when I picked her up that night, she seemed off. Usually, she'd be all smiles, excited to celebrate our big milestones. But that night, she barely looked up from her phone, her face illuminated by the screen. "Just my mum texting," she'd say dismissively, shoving her phone in her purse when I glanced over. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But something felt wrong. It's funny how a simple text can start to unravel everything you thought you knew about someone. When I brought it up the next day, she brushed it off, saying she'd been stressed about work. "You know how things have been lately," she said, giving me her best puppy dog eyes. I wanted to believe her, so I shrugged it off, chalking it up to my own paranoia. But the doubts wouldn't disappear. They started as tiny whispers in the back of my mind, growing louder every time she seemed distant or distracted. A few weeks after our anniversary, Jake and I had made plans to watch a football game together. We'd do this often, grab some beers, put our feet up, and cheer on our favourite teams. But this time, he cancelled at the last minute, claiming he had a family emergency. It struck me as odd, because Jake wasn't exactly the type to cancel plans, especially not for a vague reason like that. Later that night, I saw on social media that he had been out at a bar downtown. I thought, weird, maybe the family emergency was nearby and he stopped by afterward. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, but something didn't sit right. Over the next few weeks, these odd incidents kept happening. Lisa would cancel plans at the last second, always with some excuse that sounded just a little too rehearsed, a little too convenient. Jake, too, started acting strange, distant, aloof, almost like he was avoiding me. One night as I lay in bed, the nagging feeling that something was seriously wrong kept me up. My brain felt like it was spinning, searching for an explanation. Eventually, I made a decision. I'd start paying more attention. If nothing was going on, then I'd have peace of mind. But if my suspicions were right, well, I'd have the evidence I needed to confront them. To gather more information, I set up a small plan. One night, I told Lisa I had a late work event and couldn't hang out. She seemed surprisingly relieved, which stung, but I brushed it off. Instead of going to a work event, I drove over to Jake's apartment and parked a few blocks away. My heart raced as I waited in the shadows, wondering if I'd see something I wasn't prepared for. I waited there for hours, my eyes fixed on his front door, until eventually I saw it, Lisa's car pulling up in front of his building. She got out, glanced around to make sure she wasn't seen, and hurried up to his door. It felt like someone had punched me in the gut. But as much as I wanted to storm over and confront them both, I knew I had to play it smart. Rage wouldn't get me the answers I wanted. I needed undeniable proof. I spent the next few days planning my approach, laying the groundwork for what I was about to do. I decided to get even closer to them, to keep playing the oblivious boyfriend and best friend, even if it meant choking down my anger every time I saw them. I needed to stay close enough to catch them slipping. During one visit to Jake's apartment, when he wasn't home, I managed to slip a tiny recording device into his living room, hidden between the couch cushions. It was risky, and my heart was pounding the entire time, but it paid off. Over the next few weeks, I collected hours of incriminating recordings, their conversations, plans for secret dates, complaints about how boring and oblivious I was. One recording even had Lisa laughing about how easy it was to lie to me. That one hurt the most, hearing her talk about me like I was nothing. But it also steeled my resolve. With all the evidence I needed, I started to form my plan for revenge. I knew that both Lisa and Jake had some skeletons in their closets that they'd worked hard to keep hidden. For instance, Lisa was working in a very conservative industry. She'd built an image of herself as this perfect, innocent girl, and she used that to manipulate people into giving her what she wanted. Jake, on the other hand, was up for a big promotion at work, something he'd been gunning for since we were in college. His career was everything to him. If anything were to taint his image, it would have a ripple effect that could ruin all his chances. So I set my sights on targeting these weak spots, carefully planning each move so it would look like karma was catching up to them rather than a calculated attack from a scorned boyfriend. Lisa's family was highly traditional. They were religious, proud, and would have been mortified to know their angelic daughter was cheating on her long-term boyfriend. I knew her mother's email, so I created an anonymous account and sent her some of the recordings. I made sure to include the bits where Lisa openly laughed about her lies and discussed our relationship as if it were some joke. The fallout was spectacular. Lisa's mother called her in tears, demanding an explanation. From what I heard later, the confrontation was brutal. Her family had always held her to high standards, and now they saw her true colours. Her relationship with them crumbled in an instant. She tried to reach out to me for support, but I gave her the cold shoulder, pretending I was too hurt to talk. Next, I turned my attention to Jake. He was up for a big promotion at work, and his image was crucial to securing it. I knew a few people in his company acquaintances who'd occasionally join us for drinks. I decided to play the role of a concerned friend and let a few of them know what Jake had been up to behind my back. Of course, I made sure to sound devastated, as if I was just coming to terms with the betrayal. Word spread quickly, and before long his bosses started to hear whispers about his character. His boss, from what I later found out, was big on loyalty and integrity. I knew Jake's actions would be seen as a red flag for anyone in a leadership role. The promotion was off the table, and he was devastated. He called me one night, asking if I knew anything about the rumours, and I played dumb, acting surprised. "Maybe it's just karma, man," I said, barely able to contain my satisfaction. With both of them reeling from their losses, I decided it was time to bring everything to light. I leaked the recordings to our friend group, including mutual friends who had always looked up to our perfect trio. The shock was palpable. Friends who had been in our circle for years couldn't believe what they were hearing. One by one, they turned their backs on Lisa and Jake, appalled by the betrayal. Lisa and Jake tried to salvage their reputation, but they had burned every bridge. Their families, their friends, their colleagues, all of them knew the truth now, and there was no going back. They became pariahs in our social circle, whispers of their affair following them everywhere they went. Once I was sure they'd felt the full weight of their actions, I decided it was time to move on. I had spent enough energy on them, and there was a life waiting for me beyond this mess. I moved to a new city, started fresh, and cut off all contact with both of them. They were left to deal with the fallout alone, picking up the pieces of the lives they had destroyed. I had a friend, we'll call him Bob, that was suspicious of his wife's social circle. One of her closest friends had been caught cheating and tried to throw her under the bus as well. Bob had no proof, and things settled down for a while. Bob was an IT professional and very, very good with PCs and networks. Nearly a year later, Bob's wife is acting shady again after her high school reunion. He confides in me, and we talked through some scenarios. He jokingly mentioned a keylogger. He finally asked me to just drop it, and most of all, don't tell anyone, not even your wife. A couple months pass and I'm up early, 5:36, getting ready for work. I get a Facebook Messenger notification and see that I've been sent a link from Bob, but it's a group chat. It's literally everyone we know. Her family, his family, our friends, strangers, everyone. I didn't open it. It looked like a phishing link, even though it came from him who's extremely cautious. A short while later, I get an email from Bob with some ominous, unsavory comments and the same link. It's a group email with the recipients open copied. His wife's work, her family, her friends, his family, other people I didn't know. I knew it was legitimate now, so I opened it. The link was to a hastily made website containing pictures and videos of his wife and another man. This wasn't hidden camera footage, it was screenshots, including video screen captures. Weeks' worth of screenshots. He had captioned each item with snarky comments and colourful names for his wife and her lover. It was an embarrassing amount of evidence. Videos of her self-relaxation with her lover. Chat logs about how they can't wait to duck again. Solo self-relaxation videos of her and him. Tons of pictures. And the straw that broke the camel's back. Trash talking her husband to her lover. Comments about how much bigger and better he was. Her efforts to stroke her lover's ego were especially hurtful. I dropped what I was doing and called him. He was drunk and combative. He had been up all night making the website and drowning in liquor. Not one good word to say about women in general. He was extremely emotional, but after some work, I'd convinced him to take the website down before it does irreparable damage to his marriage, their careers, and his children. As he's sobbing and logging in to remove the website, I hear loud yelling as she bursts into the room. A screaming match ensues, and there's nothing I can do to pull him back. Apparently her mother or sister saw the page, blew up her phone until she woke up and answered. She saw the website and went on the offensive. The phone call drops after 30 seconds of her screaming, while Bob is calling her a bad girl, and I can't contact him again. The website was still up for the rest of the day, and he was kind enough to put a view counter on it. Hundreds of people watched her self-relaxation with a married former classmate. Bob had done his homework. He installed a keylogger that records the whole screen. When he was out, she would log into the PC and/or Facebook and play with her boyfriend. Bob had found her lover, his family, his wife's family, his job, etc. All these people were included in the Facebook and email groups. I do not know what became of her lover and his marriage, but I do know what happened to Bob's life. His wife was desperate to make amends. She tried and offered everything. In the end, it was her comments about her lover and his prowess that were her undoing. Bob tried to take her back, even after all his friends and family had seen her naked and cheating, but he couldn't get over the comments about his manhood. Bob eventually left her, gained about 100 barleys, and then finally moved as far away as possible and became a horrible human being. I have no idea what he's doing now, as he went scorched earth with most friendships and his family. She's gross and has a face shaped like a bowling ball now. Line forms at the rear.